I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve. Bilbo Baggins.
Bending, Not Breaking, a holiday mini episode. And welcome back to another episode of Bending Not Breaking. I'm Sunshine.
And I'm Ben.
And it's the holidays.
The holidays.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
The time is the winter.
The time is meow.
The time is meow. The winter is here.
And we're just so pleased to be able to bring you this mini episode about the holidays.
Yeah, it's going to be a little different, but not a lot different. It's still going to be in the vein of everything that we've done here before. But one of the things we wanted to do today is look through Avatar as a whole through the lens of holidays. And talk about moments that we think that really remind us of what we hope the holiday season is like, and maybe talk about a few things that we want to kind of discard as old traditions or old things that we think the holidays should be like. And make sure that we are living into how do we give the best to those that we love and to ourselves, and what the holidays really mean. And so we're going to do that by looking at some Avatar moments that we really love.
Yeah. But before we do that, we gotta figure out what we're aiming for here.
Exactly.
So,
always,
what do we want when we think about in realizing that holidays are super mixed for people. Some people really love the holidays. For some people, the holidays bring, really not great feelings up when we have to go home to places we don't want to go to, or if we have no place to go, and just bringing awareness around that. So, with that in mind, I'm thinking, what is it that we want to experience during the holiday season? What is it?
I think rest is a big one. Rest is one that I think that I hear a lot, but also one that I kind of hope to have some rest. At the same time, having plans and being able to do things with people I love is also something that I hope from the holiday season that I get to do.
So rest, but also intimacy in a way is something that I crave when I think about the holidays. I'm thinking about being with the people that I care about, if possible. And so that comes with it a certain level of intimacy that I hope to cultivate. One
of the things and this is a strange one because I think disregarding what you should do, you should be spending time with family.
Yeah.
I think that requires us. I like spending time with family, but I also think the definition of family is different for every single person, and who that family is
absolutely
can change for everyone, as it should. That should not be a stable thing of I have to hang out with the people that I am related to. I think that we can try to disregard that, because if they give you life and they are people who pour into you, and then those are the people I want to spend time with.
So reframing family to not necessarily mean who you are related to by blood.
But it can be.
Yeah. But rather family, thinking of family as the people that are life-giving, that give you joy, that you can experience intimacy with in a positive way. That's more than who I'm thinking about. When I think
even
of
spending time with people that could be family, right? Bringing people in, and allowing them to be a part of a group situation or whatever it might be, but just spending time with others that we care about.
Yeah, I love that. So thinking about this side of the things that we want, right? Hopefully we are experiencing rest, maybe a little bit of play also, because I like to play on the holidays. But
a little ice skating maybe.
Sure, whatever brings you play. And then also experiencing this relationship and connection and intimacy with people that you can call family, right?
I like to do little hot chocolates with hazelnut straws.
All right, a little ritual there.
Yeah.
Maybe some ritual over the holiday season is something. Yeah. Okay, so if we want these things, and again, this is our frame. It's not necessarily the frame. What are some things that we are looking to avoid on the holiday season, and how do we do so? That's something that I'm interested in asking.
I think the holidays can be filled with so many
Tradition.
and so I don't know if I'm not saying avoid traditions, but I'm saying question traditions.
Sure.
Um, we've talked about it before. What are the traditions that are there to serve a purpose? Do they still provide that purpose, or do they need to be shifted? An example of this might be every year at Christmas we play this board game. Well, if people hate that board game
Why
now,
are we playing this board game?
correct. If the purpose of that board game was to bring the family together, and it's not doing that anymore in a way that brings life to everyone, then is it, hey, instead of the board game this year, can we do
But I missed the
this,
board game.
right? And so I think it's always what's the purpose of the tradition?
Yeah.
And so doing away with traditions because they are traditions, and keeping traditions because of the purpose they provide and what they do, and changing them so that they're living, breathing things as well. I think that's a big what can you do on the holidays?
And it's also bringing to light that not everyone's going to have the capacity to do that, right? The systems that we are a part of, not everybody has the power to make that change, right? And I think about the systems where if I like what I could just imagine going to some of my systems and going in there and be like, what if we thought about this differently? And they'd be like, no, like shut down immediately.
But then sometimes that's the question of like, is this the system that I want to keep coming back to, right?
Precisely, right? And not everybody has the privilege to choose where they go for the holidays,
Right.
And I think that's important to lift up too. But I think that when we have capacity, that questioning tradition is something that should be on our mind,
Yeah.
right? And it's not to say that you should do away with all tradition, right? It's just saying let's be critical of our traditions and make sure that they're serving the original purpose that they were intended, and if not the original purpose, the purpose that we want them to serve at this time.
Right. I want to do away with hosting expectations.
Tell me more.
I would love to unpack that. I have witnessed so many people in my family and in other families who feel
There's so much pressure,
pressure
right? Is that
to
what you're talking about?
to cook all the right meals and to make sure there's plenty of food and to be the best host. And
I feel that. I know I'd feel that.
And there are people who find joy in being good hosts, and so that's one thing. If it's because it's providing you joy, then do it. If it is shame inducing when you don't succeed at those things, or if something gets burnt, then how do we push back on that and know that you're enough even if you don't get that extra casserole out? You're enough even though all the blankets weren't perfectly pushed onto the chairs and available for everyone. How do we balance those feelings of I like hosting people because it brings me joy?
I love hosting people.
Right? But how do we balance that with, and if this doesn't happen, I'm okay and I'm enough?
Yeah, it's that scarcity of I have to present this perfect image so that people want to come back, right? This is why people love me, is because I present all of these things.
And I think for some people it's I show love through the way that I host people.
Yeah.
And so, but if you are emptying your pitcher to do that, you still have
then
to.
The holidays become chores.
Correct.
Right.
And you can't love on people if you're not loving yourself, and so you can't ignore your needs through that process as you are providing love to others through hosting. And so I think that that's something that a lot of folks, myself included, can struggle with during the holiday season.
Yeah. I love it. All right. So we've talked about some of the things we are hoping for. We've talked about some of the things we want to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the last thing that I want to lift up that we really want to avoid, at least we as in I, is the holiday season is often when we have to return to people that have different opinions, that we are inherently close with, or not close in relationship with, but close with family-wise, that we have to engage because and their political opinions are different than ours, their values are different than ours, and I really just want to be can we not, in the holidays, can we not have this conversation? And so what does it mean to set boundaries on the holiday season around what is okay and not okay to talk
Ooh,
about as well.
that makes me think about a specific moment in Korra that we've lifted up before in the first season,
Okay.
and that's when Tenzin sets boundaries for his family when Tarlok arrives. And
Okay.
that's a moment that I wasn't planning on talking about, but that rang true to me is how well Tenzin said, like, no, Korra's giving you her answer. We're done talking about
This
it.
is no longer on
This
the
is no
table.
longer on the table as a discussion point if you would like to stay. Um, and I really love when families like support
Yeah.
the people
Yeah.
that are a part of those systems.
Mm.
Um, and I think that that's a way that Tenzin does it there that I really appreciate
Yeah.
when he does that.
Yeah. I love it. So again, we now have some kind of idea and parameters around what we're looking for, what we're not looking for.
Yeah.
So what are some moments in the show that help us grapple with these things that we're hoping for?
Oh man. So I think all the moments of play throughout the show. Right as we're lifting up the very specific, like I want to play and do things. The pro bending matches, the penguin sledding, the elephant koi riding, the pie
Mm-hmm.
show
Mm.
games, that aspect feels very holiday to me. Um,
I love playing games on the
and
holidays
going and
in
doing things.
general, but
Well, because even if you're like playing in a pro bending match or playing a sports game, or whether that's like pickup basketball with your family outside, or whether that's going to a professional sporting
that's
event,
what I was
or
going to say.
right, watching
Watching
things like
these
that
events
together,
right together.
um, can be a lot of fun and a lot of sense of collective joy. And I think that's we see so many moments of those things throughout Avatar and Legend of Korra. Um,
Well, and it's play as facilitating connection,
mhm.
right? Because that's really what play is all about. Is it connects people to one another, and whenever we are watching a show together and we have this play, that can be this moment where we're like connecting over this really cool thing,
Yeah.
and people connect through playing, that ritual board game that they play every year. And it's like, oh, I love and I have such fond memories of this. And, that's not true for everybody, but it is true for a lot of people. And so like finding those moments of connection through play is really beautiful. And I love it. Really, like you said, Pai Show, I think of Asami and Bolin, who are just going at it in, I think, season 3 of Korra. And they're just, passing the time away. And,
Mhm.
the holidays don't have to be so ritually scheduled where every minute is planned. Sometimes it's like we're bored and there's nothing to do, but I'm gonna spend this moment with you and I'm
Mhm.
gonna play Pie Show with you.
Yep.
And I think that's just really neat.
Yeah. What's a
Um,
moment for you?
the when we kind of like talked about this as a concept episode, the like immediate response was this moment in the comics with North and at the end of North and South. So
I know
spoiler alert.
exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
spoiler alert for people who haven't read. But there's this moment at the end of North and South where the whole gang comes together with the Earth King, Grandpaku, and all of these people are
Did you just
together.
merge Grandpa and Paku as in like Grandpaku?
That's what Sokka does. Yeah, I'm just mimicking Sokka. Paku didn't like it, but
I like it.
yeah. And then Gran and Tone Rock, and they're all there. And what I love about all of this is it's this complete merge of cultures. There's Water Tribe, Fire Nation, Zuko's there, Earth Nation, Air Nation, and with Aang, and they're all having this like potluck meal together, and I love it because it's not the adults it's not the hosting capacity of the adults in the kitchen and the kids come home and they're all but no, it's all of them are making their own dishes from their own nations and bringing it as a kind of a potluck merger that's beautiful meal where everybody, Aang brings steamed tofu, and then Katara has this seaweed stew. Toph, somewhat interestingly, has braised turtle duck, which some of the fans kind of erupt at that when you think about a cooked turtle duck. So cute, and then so delicious. And everybody brings a dish, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so cool. And I just love how they come together, and then this final page of the comic is just everyone smiling, looking at each other, eating this plethora of delicious food from all the different nations, and it's just really beautiful. And I think about how food is a facilitator of joy and a facilitator of connection, right? And even one of the side notes on the page talks about how Jean Luen Yang, who writes this, the scripts have many scenes where the characters connect to their feelings and to each other through eating, which gives such depth to the story. And I so agree because that's so true for us too, where people bond over food, and food is what brings us together. And I love the connections that happen over meals. So that's something I think about when I think about the holidays.
Just family meals and everyone's bringing something different that they love to make or enjoy. And
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things where like technology isn't necessarily at the point where there are cell phones in this, but I think what makes these moments really beautiful is that no one's distracted by the things that are going on. The TV isn't on in the background in this comic. Nobody has their phone out looking at their phone. Everyone is present and engaged with one another, and that's something I crave so much during the holiday. I crave it all the time, but I feel like I get it most often when I'm able to really cultivate it in that holiday season. I think more people are willing to put their phone away during this season than they are during a regular, Thursday night dinner.
absolutely. I think a moment for me that I want to lift up, and I'm sorry for making everyone go through this, but I'm not, is the moment of Iroh honoring Luton.
Oh, whoa.
I think this year, more than maybe many in the past, we're gonna have loved ones that aren't with us.
Mm.
And there was an Andrew Garfield interview recently as he was promoting Tick Tick Boom, where he expressed after the loss of a family member that grief is all the unexpressed love that he regrets not sharing, or not regrets, but wasn't able to share with that family member. And that concept of grief being an exploration of love and a showing of love to those who are no longer with us is one that felt really beautiful to me. And I think that at this time in the holidays can be something we can do. That grief, that missing of people, is an outpouring of love,
Yeah.
and reframing it as such to understand that, like, this is, I feel this and I'm allowed to feel this and I'm allowed to miss these people, and that it is an act of love, an act of radical love to do that and allow yourself to feel those things during the holiday, and is not something that you feel like you shouldn't be able to do, and
Yeah.
that's very real. And so I love that moment and Avatar, but also that we have permission to do that during the holiday seasons as well.
Yeah. I mean, I have long thought that one of the biggest tragedies of COVID is this lack of communal grief.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as I do a lot of research on trauma and the things that are going wrong in our world, this is one of them where this lack of communal grief has really made it difficult to process.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you're giving us a little bit of space to say that it's okay to lean into that,
Absolutely.
right? And I think that's really beautiful. Oof, that's big. Like,
Yeah.
I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Like, it's just so important. Whew. Um, yeah. Okay.
Another moment for you.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I am called to think about this moment where Toph in I think it's book 2 of Atla, where she runs away from the gang because she's mad and they're all mad at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. And she encounters Iroh. And Iroh is on his own because Zuko left him. And Toph is on her own because she left her people. And together they find connection with each other over a glass of tea. And this moment's really powerful for me too because they
Mm-hmm.
don't know each other. They're strangers, and yet they're kind to each other, and they listen to one another, and they form connection. And would they rather be with other people in that moment? Maybe. But I think that it's that moment of being willing to sit down and have a cup of tea with a stranger that I also want and crave during the holiday season. Like there's this sense of wanting to connection, and this is just a really beautiful way of showing us that even when we're at odds with the people that we love and care about, we can find it in other places. And I think that's a moment that comes to mind for me.
It also feels like it's important to lift up because I know that there can be pain around our loved ones being somewhere else
Yeah.
and making that feel like it was a choice that is against me,
Mm-hmm.
or they are choosing to be in that space because they like that person or love that person more or better.
Yeah.
And I think that that moment that you're specifically speaking about is Ira, for Ira and Toph, is one that kind of shows that, like, it's not that they don't love the people they're not with.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
they're just in a moment, and that moment is dictated in time that they're going to have to be together in
And
that
and
moment.
sometimes that happens on the holiday
Yeah.
season, right?
And it doesn't mean that there's a lack of love. It just means that they're in a different
And
space.
they need to be in that space in
Yeah.
order to process what's going on.
Yep.
And I think that's really important, right? We like that moment is so important for me to think about. Like, I don't want to be around these people right now, and that there's still hope that I can find connection elsewhere, right? And I'm still loved, and all of that. I yeah.
Well, because there's so much truth to, like, I don't want to be in this situation. It doesn't mean that I don't love the people that are there. It just means that at this place and time, I'm not ready to be at that location. And I think that that's, again, giving people permission to know that that's a real feeling and that that's an okay feeling to have is important.
Yeah.
And there are places for connection.
Yeah, and it's just I feel like this call to like who are I've always I'm the type of person that likes to host,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, oh, who are the stragglers and the strangers that I need to invite into my home to build this connection with that don't have a place to go on the holidays. I want to be that like hub for where the disenfranchised come. And
Yeah.
that's something that I like have this dream of, and yeah, it's really beautiful to see this moment. You have another moment?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the last ones that I want to bring up is Tenzin sitting down with Iki in the cave with all the sky bison,
Oh, so good.
which is a recent moment we've talked about. But I think, one, for multiple reasons, I love the generational play that takes place on around the holidays. The
Yeah.
connection of generations that you might not get throughout the regular year.
Mm.
Um, the learning that can come from that, the stories that can come from that, the mythos that can come from that.
Yeah.
Um, but also, it is so common for me to end up having to, like, play with the children that are in a family space during the holidays,
Yeah.
and pretending and exploring and playing dinosaurs, um, and the power that comes with, one, the joy that I feel from getting to be in that whimsical moment in that given space, but also the way that that allows for young folks to potentially feel connected into a larger system that they may feel disconnected from when they're sitting at the kids' table, um,
That was me, always at the kids' table.
or not being able to understand the movies that are being watched by the adults, or just wanting a chance to play. Because there's been times where I've been the child who's been like, I'm the youngest one here, and we're at my grandparents' house, and they don't have
Anything for me.
anything for me.
Yeah.
And I was always appreciative of the older siblings or the people who are like, "Hey, I'm gonna play Go Fish with you," and um, I love that moment because Tenzin really just immerses himself into the tea party,
To Iki's world.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really cool thing that typically can happen in the holidays that brings joy. So I think
Yeah.
that's my last one for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm. So we've talked about intimacy. We've talked about, and that certainly happens in this moment with Tenzin and Iki, right? This connection, this intimacy that is just really beautiful. We've talked about play. We've talked about, boundary setting that Tenzin does and gives us an example of. We've talked about all kinds of things that I think we can invite into our holiday season. And I'm really grateful for Avatar for giving us this opportunity to think about this and to give us these memories and these examples of what it can look like to to hope for something and to try and use this space to kind of cultivate what we wish to see in our holiday season. Mm. So what we're going to do now is we are going to move into some gratitude, and on top of the gratitude we just shared, but gratitude for someone in this whole Avatar verse that helps us, feel something, that gives us something, that helps us understand the holidays. And before we do that, I'm feeling called to also just ask for a moment of silence and just invite some collective grief for us to bear witness to the fact that we are in a community that has lost a lot over the past 2 years. And with this being kind of our holiday episode, I just want to offer us a chance to have a moment of silence for our collective grief for the people that we've lost from COVID, from not COVID, from all kinds of things. And so let's honor that, and we'll take a moment. Thank you. And so may all the peoples who we have lost, may their memory be a blessing for us. Okay, let's talk about gratitude.
Yeah.
Who are we grateful for in this episode? Or in this episode of Bending Not Breaking.
Something that we haven't lifted up yet that I really want to lift up is the joy in the holidays of coming home and seeing the family pet coming home and or getting to spend more time with the animals in our life that we love. Like I love snuggling with my dog around this time of year, and there's also times where I get to go see family members who have their pets that I haven't seen in a while that I get to engage with, and so. But having those pets around have always brought a certain environment, a certain level of joy and excitement. And so I'm giving thanks to all the Avatar pets out there, and not really pets. Pets might not be the best word, but Appa and
spirit guides,
Naga and Fang and Mola and all these really awesome spirit animals that have always been a source of comfort and joy and real love
and
partnership and connection. And I think that animals can do that for a lot of us. And so I want to give a thanks to all the creatures of Avatar, to make sure that they know that they're loved as well.
Yeah. Wow. I am going to go with an often gratitude person. That's a terrible way to word that.
Phrasing.
And I'm really grateful for Katara, but I'm grateful specifically for Katara in Korra, in her infinite wisdom in Korra.
Yes.
And I'm really thinking about the way that she cares for Korra, and not just there's just her whole interaction with Korra is just incredibly beautiful. The way that she teaches Korra waterbending, the way in the comics, the way that she, walks Korra through her trauma, helps her heal.
Mm-hmm.
The way that she just is so inviting and, speaks to Tenzin and tells him, nope, this is family time. You're going to spend some time with your siblings. And I think that Katara is the wisdom that I hope that I can, tap into during the holidays. And, I'm really grateful for her example. I think she's thebomb.com.
I agree. Well, y'all, this is wrapping up our mini episode for today. Thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you for continuing to listen to this podcast. We hope that y'all are enjoying it. Thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers, our patrons that help us do this and help us continue to do this. We're incredibly grateful for you. Thank you to my co-host.
Oh, thank you.
One of my highlights of my life is getting to do this with you, so I appreciate that.
Also grateful for our editor-in-chief right now.
Yeah.
Noah Blanchard, you've been a huge help this whole season. And during all of our mini-series, you've been the bomb. Great. Wonderful.
And though he's
Amazing.
not with us this season, Max Gongaware is always
Just not at this time.
always not. He's just not here at this time.
Yeah.
No, not at this time.
He might come back.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Life is a
He's been
mystery.
busy. He's getting a new job soon, so maybe he'll have more time.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah.
But y'all, again, all the holiday well wishes, sending them out to y'all and the families that you get to be with, whether they are related through blood or the found families that are so important to all of us. Sending you well wishes and hoping the best for your holiday season. I'm Sunshine Mayfield.
I'm Ben Pruitt.
And this has been Bending Not Breaking, a holiday mini episode. Thanks for listening.
Happy holidays.